All right, welcome back. And today we're going to talk about the ingredients of an infectious brand. How do you create a brand that people can't resist? Hi, my name is Krisha Sarah Bowen, and I help people just like you to convert their lived experiences into profitable online businesses. And the reason why you want to create an infectious brand is because you can take those brand assets with you across anything that you do as a business. I remember very early on when I started my business, I used to say I started the first Me Too movement because I began sharing my story, and my story was the frustrated corporate employee who just wanted to know, okay, who I was. I wanted more out of life. I wanted more out of my experience of life. So I was making good money, working a good job, had no complaints really. Things were well. I did not hate my job. I just did not feel fulfilled. And I started to share that story. Now, when I shared that story, there were other people that began to relate to that story. They were working in jobs, probably well paid. They were in jobs for years, maybe experienced some sense of frustration, but they had this big question, and this question of, who am I? Why am I? I always say a why question is a purpose question. The purpose of a thing is the reason the thing exists. So most times if you're asking why, it's because you're trying to figure out the reason something exists. So if you're asking, why am I on this job? You want to find out the purpose of this job. Why am I in this relationship? What's the purpose of this relationship? Where is this going? Why do I feel this way? You're asking a question of your emotions and your feelings. So usually the why question is linked to a deeper purpose question. So when I started this brand and I began sharing my story, people started to say, oh, me too, I can relate. I feel the same way. I feel this exact same thing on my job. I'm experiencing this in my life right now. And because of that, the brand started to become infectious. Why? Because I begin to share transparently what I believed. I begin to share transparently my story, and there were people that resonated with this brand. Now, when you're building a business, you need to think of thought leadership and being unique in an industry. A lot of people come into the business space seeing someone else. Of course, we've all seen someone else establish a business and we thought, oh, I want to build a business like that. Now, seeing the idea and actually bringing the idea to reality is two different things, and you may not have the same results even if you copy the same business. The difference between businesses is their brand voice, their brand personality, their tone, the way that they do things. So in starting an infectious brand, I remember I was sitting one time watching television. And I'm sure you guys know these infomercials. They're not as heavy now as they used to be some years ago, but usually late at night or early in the morning, there would be infomercials where they advertising products for people to buy, right? And I was watching this commercial one time, and it was a laptop pillow. Now, nobody says, oh, I think I'm going to buy a laptop pillow today, or I think I want a laptop pillow. Like, it's not a thought that really comes across your mind. But what I like about the as seen on TV ads, they begin to channel desire and demand for their products. Most times it's things that people will not go to the store and readily buy. But the minute they start showing the ad, you start seeing how you can use the product. So for example, with this pillow, they were showing that the young lady was sitting on her couch and she was trying to work. Her laptop was on her lap and it was like unstable, and she was watching TV. They were showing like somebody sitting in the bed trying to work and it was like unsteady. And they showed all these different places, like being in the car, having to pull aside for a meeting and not having anywhere to rest the laptop. And they showed all these examples of how you could use this product. Now, guess what happened as I was watching this infomercial? I started to think, oh yeah, that's true. You might be driving and you might need to take a meeting. Like, it might happen very rare, but I'm trying to show you how, as seen on TV ads, have captured this way to channel demand by looking at the problems that people are facing that they aren't aware that they are facing, but it helps them to now buy the product. Then I started thinking, oh, that's true. Sometimes I do work from my bed, or sometimes I do work from the couch. So yeah, I probably do need this laptop pillow. Now, do I need a laptop pillow? The jury is still out on that. But they were so skilled, they were able to target business owners, busy business owners, who are probably always on their laptop, always on the go, or sometimes always working from their bed, their couch, or their cars, and showing how this portable pillow was going to help you stabilize your laptop so that you could continue to work. Guess what I did? Pulled out my credit card and bought this laptop pillow. Ask me, do I use this laptop pillow? Absolutely not. I still do the same things that I used to do before. But what I'm showing you is how these ads have the ability to win people over because they see a need and they create based on that need. There was this other one that I saw. It was a stove top cover, and they were showing pots boiling over, spills on your stove, and they were showing how this cover, the spills will go on the cover, and it makes it easier in terms of cleanup. What is brilliant about this strategy is they have the ability to channel a need that people don't even realize that they have, to get you to buy something you would not have ordinarily bought, and to increase their product demand. There's a saying that says, give a man a fish and he'll eat for a day. Teach a man to fish and he'll eat, continuously more than 1 day. But I believe teach the man to build a pond and he would eat for a lifetime, because now he can rear his own fish, and anytime he's hungry, he has a pond. So when I train my clients, or when I teach, when I coach, when I speak, I'm always teaching people, don't think of solutions that can just generate income now. Think about longevity in your business and building a brand that can continue to grow with you, which is a pond. And in that pond, you will always have customers because you have an ability to channel demand. If you are using the teach a man to fish, yes, you may know how to fish, but you have to find a new pond every time to cast your net. If you build your own pond, if you start your own business, if you grow your own community, if you build up your own email list, if you start your own movement, that is synonymous to creating your own pond. Guess what happens when you create your own pond? You create an infectious brand. It's so funny to me sometimes when people on social media, they may hear something related to purpose, something relating to course creation, and they would instantly tag me. Or if someone says, hey, I'm working on a course, any question related to things in my industry, I now have ambassadors and not fans. This happens when you create an infectious brand. People will be very happy to recommend you to other people, and you will not have fans. A lot of people on social media have fans, people that like what they do. Very rare you find people who are ambassadors, people who will tell people about what you do. As you are building your business and your infectious brand, you want ambassadors. Ambassadors help you make money. Remember, we're talking purpose and profitability. So fans are great, and having the numbers are great in terms of validating social proof, letting people know, okay, this person probably has something to say. But if I don't have ambassadors, it means that people are not telling other people about what I do. So when you are growing your business, I want you to think of, I just don't want followers and fans. I want ambassadors. I want clients who will tell other people about what I do, or I want people who will refer people to what I do. Every individual is probably not a client, but every individual is a referral. Everybody knows somebody that could use your product. Everybody knows somebody that could use your business. But you are thinking of fans. You are thinking of growing in numbers. You are thinking of having certain metrics on your social media. But you're not thinking of creating an infectious brand. So now let's tap back into the as seen on TV ads, what they do that is brilliant, that we can learn from, and now start creating infectious brand. Now, when you're creating the infectious brand, it's a group of people who believe as you believe, they enjoy your personality, they enjoy what you do, so they follow you because of that connection with your brand. People follow people who are similar to themselves or people they feel that inspire them. How does your brand inspire people? You may be a product brand or a service brand. Behind that brand, you must have a philosophy of why I started. So your first place is our story. You want to have an our story video on your pages that talks about who you are, why you started, and how you could serve. Ever notice in terms of restaurants, even though they can say a lot of things about themselves, it is what people say about a restaurant that makes someone visit and other people recommend. So what you want to do when you are building your infectious brand is you want to think of what do people experience when they experience my brand that would allow them to tell someone else about me. What do they experience about my community? Like we have a community, Purposeful, Profitable Entrepreneurs on Facebook. I started this community because I realized there were people just like me that were passionate about purpose, passionate about starting businesses, and also passionate about profitability. I found 5 years into coaching and doing business development, there were a great number of people that had an idea of what their purpose was. There was another group that was starting businesses, but there was a smaller group that was leading to profitability. So people knew who they were after time. They started businesses, but these businesses weren't moving fast to profitability. And this was because a lot of people can't get over themselves. You have to think of every social media platform as free real estate. If someone gave you free land today, I am sure your first step is to think about what am I going to do with this land? What type of building am I going to put up on this land? Well, you have free real estate on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, which is now X, I think, Threads. Like there's so much free real estate that you could put up a message on. This message now helps you to create an infectious brand. So think of social media as free land. Think of every platform as a space for you to build on that land. And think about how you can now share a message that brings people back to your business. The next thing I want you to do is to think about content as your employees. Every piece of content works for you. So if you were hiring someone for a job, chances are you would give them a job description. You'd probably say, this is what I want you to do. This is what I want you to focus on. It's the same thing with content. I used to be overwhelmed with creating content very early. I still don't like it, not my favorite thing to do, but I recognize that content establishes an infectious brand. But the thing in terms of content, how I reprogrammed my mindset is I started to think that each piece of content is an employee. So if I'm sending my employees, so social media, free land, I'm putting up my business, which is a building on each piece of real estate on social media, and I'm putting workers in those building content. And now those workers are driving people to buy from my business, increase profitability. So it all is connected, but a lot of your challenge might be mindset, how you are approaching showing up online and offline. When I held my first cruise, Purpose Diaries cruise, I live in Trinidad and Tobago. A lot of my audience are probably all over US, a few in like Jamaica, other Caribbean islands, and a few in UK, a few in Canada. I built a brand from my computer, just sharing my story, sharing who I was, sharing my beliefs, sharing my process, and people all over the world connected to this brand. Now, when I said, okay, I'm hosting my first cruise, we're leaving from Miami and we're going to these 3 ports. If you'd like to come on the cruise, I think it was like 25 people. This is the link. People from all over the world who connected to a brand came on a cruise with a complete stranger to them. They did not know me outside of seeing me on a computer screen, came from all over the world on a cruise because of the brand and the movement. I'm showing you the power of an infectious brand. Now, when they came on the cruise, it was the very first time that we all met, but people felt like, hey, I know Krisha because they'd been hearing my message on all of my platforms. I show up very authentic, the same Krisha that's on the computer. It's the same Krisha that you meet in person. It's the same Krisha across the board. I've seen with entrepreneurs, when they come online, they become somebody different. It's almost as if you put on this false person because you think this is who social media will accept. So this is who I will show. The difference with my infectious brand is I started to show the process. I showed the frustration. I showed the times I did not have money. I showed the times I couldn't afford certain things. I started to tell the story from a different perspective, not from a lifestyle marketing perspective of I'm driving this car, I'm visiting this place, I'm doing all of this travel. My brand was built from the perspective of, hey, I'm figuring it out just like you. If you want to figure it out with me, you could join and we could all figure it out together. And that created a movement which now has over 1,300 people who are saying, listen, I believe in this message. I'm following this movement. I want to be connected to this brand. I am an ambassador for this brand. I would tell you that most times my ambassadors, whether they are clients or not, fill all my programs, attend all my events, tell all their friends, you need to be a part of this group. They tell people you need to connect with this person. Why? Because it's an infectious brand. So I know you're probably taking notes, you should be, and you're probably wondering, okay, how do I now get this infectious brand? I feel like I'm starting late, or maybe you feel like, I haven't quite built the brand the way that I want to. How do I now, Krisha, build this infectious brand? And I'm glad you asked, because of course I'm going to tell you how you build this infectious brand. I like to say create a story inventory. Story inventory are, let's say, the top 10 stories of your life, but the top 10 stories of your life with a message. I was sharing with my mentorship class of how everything in life is a story and everything is content. So when you're struggling to find content, start thinking that everything is content. I just need to find a way to articulate this message so it connects to who I am and what I do. Can I give you an example? I'm an example person, so you're probably saying, example. Last 3 weeks, I love curry, so my nails were white, and I ate curry. Now, I was not thinking about my nails at that point in time. I was thinking about the curry. After I ate the curry, the nails were yellow, obviously, because of the curry powder and what I was eating. So I was showing everyone this nail. I was like, oh my gosh, I ate curry. I messed my nails up. It was white. Now they're yellow. And I had this conversation with multiple people. I was showing my class online. I was like, oh my gosh, I messed up my nail. I ate curry. And I was showing them my nail. Most people did not notice it. They noticed it after I pointed it out. I shared this on my social media, on my stories, and people were like, oh, use hand sanitizer. See, it's good to have community and it's good to have ambassadors. So people were like, use hand sanitizer. So I did, and to my surprise, of course, because of the alcohol base, the nails were white again. I share that to say that sometimes you are seeing your flaw more than anybody else is. And the only reason people see your flaws is because you point them out. Nobody saw my yellow nails. I saw them. Yet I was drawing attention to the nail because I felt it was a flaw, and they only saw it after I pointed it out. Now, I was just eating curry. I was just living my life, but I'm giving you this example to show that your life is content and you can get a message out of everything. I was breaking down to my class and I was sharing with them. Now I will use that story in my inventory to talk about sometimes we are so caught up with our flaws and they paralyze us from moving forward, but nobody sees those flaws except you. And sometimes as it relates to those flaws, it's very small, simple fixes. Like they will like use hand sanitizer. I put it on the nail was absolutely clean. So you want to think about what are the stories that I can use, that I can now share, that people can relate, so now they can connect to my message as I'm building an infectious brand. The next thing that I did is I would share my likes or my dislikes. Remember, I'm saying your life is content. You don't have to trip about content. Everything that you do is content. So I like Starbucks. I like sneakers. There's certain things that I enjoy. I like fashion. I started sharing these things with my audience. So guess what? There are people just like me who like specific things who now see that, wow, I want to follow her, not because of the nails or the hair or the clothes or the makeup or the sneakers, because of the solution, but the solution is backed by a personality and it's backed by a belief. Do people online really know who you are? Do you show them your community? Do you show them your life, what you like, what you don't like? Now, I'm not saying that you breach your privacy. You show what you want to show. But when you're showing specific things, make sure it's authentic and people can connect to who you are and what you like. Now, I hope that you have took these short nuggets that I've shared with you to be able to create an infectious brand. It's absolutely possible to share your message in a real and authentic way and to have people connect with you. The key to that is real and authentic. The key to that is being yourself. The key to that is to focus on building an infectious brand that people enjoy when they see you showing up, because those people will become ambassadors. And whether they are your clients or not, whether they buy your products or not, they will most certainly share it with someone else because they would resonate with the message, they'd resonate with the person, they'd resonate with the authenticity, and that is going to increase not only your ability to live purposefully, but your ability to have a profitable brand and business.